That's right. No spooky intro, no overly dramatic editing, just straight nostalgia. Because honestly, that's the biggest reason you're here, right? You saw a video on the thumbnail that took you back to that little kid who trusted his friend only to be scammed and downright scared when you were playing what you thought was an innocent maze game, or when your dad sat you down to watch what you were told was a really cool car ad. No matter what the scenario was, it all ended with you being scared out of your chair, creeped out alone in your room, or it was just one of those rare moments where you're waking up at 2 a.m. only to be exposed to some of the scariest ads on television. Just because I'm feeling a bit nostalgic from making my video on shock sites, I figured I'd take everyone here on a little trip through each era of scary videos. From screamers that you hated to see coming, to creepypastas, to random viral videos, to where we are today with the state of horror on the internet. All of that on today's video. Let's get started by talking about the screamer era. Shocker, I don't do jump scares on this channel. It's probably one of the things that I'm known for if you watch literally any of my videos, so you can watch this section with ease knowing that I'm not going to bump the audio up really fast or put anything on screen that's gonna jar you a little too much. But anyways, the screamer era of the internet was quite interesting when you really look at it for what it was. Most of this was made up of daisy-chained emails with either a link to a scary maze game or this incredibly funny car ad that you just had to watch. The reason I'm leaning so hard into these two videos specifically is because I feel like these were the most well-known and honestly just defined this era of videos. They captured the perfect jump scare, at least for its time. They both presented themselves as something extremely innocent on the surface to reel you in, and then when you least expected it, they'd slam you with the punchline that might lead to a punch of your own. But we should all know these jump scares, otherwise known as screamer videos, because of their well-known format of having some kind of image or entity screaming as loud as it could to scare you. And today I just wanted to talk about a few videos from each era of horror on the internet and my personal experience with them as we make our way down this list of eras. So for the screamer era, here is one that you might not actually know, and it's this one right here. I found this video through the website that was YouTube before YouTube existed, stupidvideos.com. You knew you were in for a treat every time you went onto this site and heard that sweet intro that played before each video. Stupid videos. Now, if you've seen the scary car ad, then you actually do know about this video, or at least you should. The scary car ad was made in contention with like 8 other videos that were part of this ad campaign for a caffeine drink. Specifically this one made by the company called K-Feed. And one of the first ones that I ended up watching was this golf ad, or I didn't know it was a golf ad. When I was on Stupid Videos, I forgot what the video was called, but I just remember the thumbnail being what you're seeing on screen right now. And basically the whole video is just this dude walking up to golf, and then obviously something tries to pull you in because it's really far away, and this gargoyle pops out of the top and it scares you. And what's funny is that I remember exactly what I did as a kid watching this. I slammed on my desk, I shoved off my old CRT monitor, and I started crying because for me, this was way worse than the car ad will ever be. And I honestly still think it's a lot scarier than people give it credit for. And I found it browsing on Stupid Videos like I used to do a lot when I was younger. Speaking of which, we're going to be going over a ton of different videos, stories, and just random excerpts from my life as we talk about these videos that traumatized us. And while we're on that, I don't actually mean traumatized, okay? Obviously, this is just something I'm using to sound catchy. If you look at my videos on my channel, when I use that word, what I really mean is you're in for a video where we're going to be talking about how what these things meant to us as kids and how they mean to us now. Like, I'm not trying to actually say like, oh man, we all have trauma together, we need to go to therapy. Like, I'm sure we do for other things, not because I watched Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared at age 12, okay? Get over yourself. I see these comments all the time and they piss me off. Anyways, but yeah, if you have any personal experience with any of these, dude, write your story below, because even if I don't see it, there will be thousands of people that might find your experience relatable or funny. And that's all I want to do with videos like this, which is to find people that share the same types of thoughts and mini adventures I had, and reminisce for a moment as we trudge through this thing that we call life. Now, the next one up isn't so much scary for anyone watching as it was actually traumatizing as I made that whole big speech. This one does still kind of mess with my head even now. And if you're wondering what video it is, it's this one right here. Toy Story Secrets. I believe I've mentioned this video one other time on the channel, but I do recall it being kind of like offhandedly mentioned, and I didn't really talk about what this video meant to me growing up. To understand the extent of how bad this video was to me and how badly it scared me, I'm gonna play this little clip of my brother who just happened to call me while I was recording this. You can even see that, like, the timestamp. This was like 2 minutes ago. My brother just called me, and I was like, you know what? Let me use him as an example as to how bad this video is to me. So we'll play that right here. What are you doing right now?
Going to the gym.
Are you driving right now, or what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
Dude, this is random. This is really random. I'm filming a video, and I was gonna call you. I was gonna call somebody, but do you think right now you could give like a explanation of how bad Toy Story Secrets was to me?
Wait, the video?
Yeah, like how I'd react.
Why?
Just for the video. I'm recording right now.
I don't feel like. I feel like I'm going to give you a better reaction.
What?
Because I would just say you cried like a bitch, but I don't feel like that's appropriate.
That's fine, dude.
Okay.
I'll put that in. That's fine. That's perfect.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was just like it was just you're talking about that stupid 10-second video, right? Or like
Yeah. You don't have to play up your reaction or anything either. Like I think the point of this is just to be real. Like, you know, like because I'm explaining how like I used to. You guys would just put it on.
You, but it was like not even.
Yeah. You guys would just put on the song and I would tweak out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I just want. What's up?
All right.
That was it. That's good. I just wanted to put this in so that people understand I'm not like I'm gonna play this up for the video. Like I'm being so serious that this was like a thing with my family. All right. I'll let you go. All right. Later, buddy.
Okay.
Huh? What are you saying? I'll get on. All right, peace. Later. Bye. And even though he didn't really give any details, it was that bad. Like I remember, like I would be at like family parties and someone would just play this clip in the distance or just put on this song, and I would have to like run away. Like I would literally like have to go into another house or like run somewhere outside and like go into another room and like cry or like just be scared. Like my fight or flight would kick in so hard. And I very clearly remember the first time that I watched that video. And I think the first experience I had with it is why this video got to me so much. So what ended up happening was my two brothers and I were going down this obscure rabbit hole of subliminal messages in Disney films. From classic mishaps like the Little Mermaid cover to letters spelling out inappropriate messages in The Lion King. We were watching video after video, all on our barely functioning YouTube app that was on the Wii. And keep in mind, the room that we were in was just a bed and a massive CRT that we had blasting because YouTubers back in the day just didn't know how to boost their audio levels to the way that we do now, right? How to actually keep them to a listenable level. And so we had the TV just blasting. And I remember as we were doing this entire rabbit hole of research, this video popped up on the side. Toy Story Secrets. It was only 20 seconds, and obviously, we clicked on it, and we watched it. The video itself is incredibly tame, even by the standards of when it came out. It was literally just a slideshow of pictures that flew on by as the Friend and Me theme song was playing, ending with this clown picture popping up at the end. I don't even have to edit this one to be less scary. This is literally the video. However, I still stand by this little thought today, which is that the scream in the video is just so incredibly ear-piercingly loud. And that's one of the reasons why I hated it so much. It terrified me to no end. One of the memories that I have that still comes up whenever I think about this is my grandpa. And it was when my family told him about this issue that I had with this video. He just couldn't believe that a 7-year-old could be scared of such a tame, stupid thing. And I knew they were about to play it. And as they were joking about playing it in front of me, my heart started pounding as that classic Friend in Me started blasting from my dad's phone. And I just started screaming as loud as I could so I didn't have to hear the video. To be honest, I don't think my family even understands why I was so scared of it. And to be even more honest, I don't either, right? It was just something that happened. If I were to try to explain it into words, I don't think I'd be able to find any to explain why I was just so scared of this video. I just didn't like having it being played. And what really sucks and is so insane to me is that it still affects me now. When I go to watch any Toy Story film, whenever I hear that song, that fight or flight still kicks in, even though I know way better now. And I'm curious to see if anyone has this kind of reaction from something that they saw when they were smaller. In my case, it sucked because this was a common thing, especially considering the fact that a lot of my childhood was spent at Disneyland thanks to my mom working there for so long. And each time I hear that song, it always gives me that same pit in my stomach, which is something that I experienced as I began to see more screamer videos pop up. I'm still incredibly wary of videos with short timestamps on them, and I'll even go as far as scrubbing through some videos before watching them just to make sure I don't get jump scared, because I hate that feeling. For some of you, your Toy Story secrets might be the girl mirror video, which in my opinion is still just as terrifying as the day it came out, or even the infamous chair exorcist jump scare that many have pooped their pants over. But all in all, I think this era of videos was kind of necessary, because even though I got scared by it, I was still intrigued by the concept of this jump scare, and it kind of introduced me to horror. I started watching a lot of horror movies as a result of these kinds of videos being out. I remember watching The Exorcist because I didn't know what the girl's face was on the Scary Maze game, and I ended up loving a lot of movies like that. And we kind of got ushered into what I feel like is the natural progression to the next era, which is the Creepypasta era. Creepypastas were a big part of a lot of us growing up. If you've seen my video going over my experience with shock sites, as I've mentioned so many times already, you'll know that I mentioned a particular subset of videos that I feel like a lot of us watched. And it's these gems right here. The haunted gaming series that used to live on the Some Ordinary Gamers channel, created by the man himself, Mutahar. And I actually have a really funny story regarding the first creepypasta that I ever encountered, which was this, Squidward's Suicide. And for those that weren't there to experience it yourself, Mutahar's haunted gaming series single-handedly brought up an entire generation of people like you and me. These kids who were terribly intrigued by these horror stories. And if you're a bit older than my generation, it was our version of those scary stories to tell in the dark books, which, although I did end up reading myself, I definitely didn't spend as much time on those as I did binge watching these videos. And it all started with that first creepypasta, Squidward's Suicide. And what's so funny to me is that I really genuinely thought this was real, because for those that don't know the entire story behind what is now famously known as Red Mist, and not just Squidward's Suicide, it's the story of a guy who worked at Nickelodeon, and it tells a story of how they were testing new episodes and title cards for a new season of SpongeBob, and there was one that was submitted titled Squidward's Suicide. And rather than it being a normal episode of SpongeBob, it was a very detailed episode featuring Squidward's Suicide. And I remember listening to this full thing with my headphones on my couch with my old iPod Touch. It was like 10 p.m. at night in my living room, and I was just wondering, like, why aren't more people talking about this? If this is a real story. I remember like waking up my brother and telling him what happened, like, oh my god, like there's this guy that did this and that, like telling him as if it's a real story. And I remember going to school and telling all my friends about this cool thing that I had just found out about, and like, oh my god, like it's scary that this is a real thing that's happening. And it wasn't until I got back home that I realized what creepypastas were. And what's really funny is that I didn't even find out it was a creepypasta because of what you're thinking, which is probably that I went back to Mudahar's channel and I saw these onslaught of like haunted gaming videos. What actually happened was I watched what I think is probably one of the most iconic creepypastas in history, which is Jeff the Killer, with the story being told by Mr. Creepypasta. And I only recognized it was fake after I was like, dude, what are the chances of these two insane stories being real? Like, this has to be fake. And then I ended up doing more research and reading the comments, and I just realized how stupid I was the entire time. But, like, isn't that awesome? Like, there was a sliver of a moment, like a day or two, where I really lost myself in these stories, and that's what made the early creepypasta era what it was. It was this time where we would get home from school and just lose ourselves into this world of unfiction. I'd go from hearing stories about some guy that explored an abandoned Disney park to a cursed TV channel that infects your children to some of the most insanely produced creepypastas that made me doubt if it was fake, despite me knowing that it was in fact just a work of fiction. That last one in particular is me referencing another lesser but also well-known story, which is Happy Appy. I remember getting my brother involved in this one as well because he was also convinced that he had seen the show as a kid, and that dreaded picture that was posted alongside his story like just really convinced us that this was real. I distinctly remember reading through the entirety of the story and just getting nightmares of this stupid apple. And although this one ran its course longer than it should have, it was neat for what it was, and I think that's what a lot of these were for so many of you watching. These stories were such a gem to find in the early 2010s, and I think they fueled many of us into enjoying just analog horror, and for some of us, creating our own original stories that have taken off into fully fledged careers. And there was a natural progression as we all got older and moved on to more mature takes on these older eras. And this brings me to what I feel like was a weird era to live through, but it was a necessary one. A transition period, if you will. This is the random viral era. The time when you could kind of do anything shocking on the internet and it would catch the attention of nearly everybody. This area of videos is hard to describe, but if you lived through it, my next few words on it will make so much sense. So this was a period of time where videos on YouTube garnered attention for their shock factor alone. Think Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, I Feel Fantastic, or Die Fantasy. The kinds of videos that would appear on YouTubers or Teens React just because they were known to invoke some kind of crazy response from those viewing. But beyond those who only saw the shock value in these videos were people like us. Those who understood that there was more to these videos than on the surface. And with that, the internet was taken by storm with channels like YouTube Explained, who would break these kinds of things down for us who were brand new to this type of content. The type of scary video that was supposed to be thought-provoking and purposeful in its horror and not simply made for shock value alone. There was real value. And in fact, I was actually slightly a part of this era on YouTube with videos dating back explaining the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared series as it was coming out. As far as my interpretation on this video as being correct or even close to valid, I'm not so sure. But I've gone over many other similar videos since, just because I'm giving myself a platform to do so. And it's been incredibly fun being able to do all of that for all of you. But that's not to say that there was only deep, scary videos being produced during this time. And that's why I say this is kind of like a transition period. We're starting to get videos like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, but alongside them, we're also getting stuff that are kind of like the email chains. Stuff like Obey the Walrus or I Feel Fantastic. These videos that just had genuinely like no explanation or context behind them. It's almost like someone produced them and just like left it on the internet for somebody to eventually find. And these were the kinds of videos that were put out to simply scare us. And the fact that they didn't have an easy explanation off rip or no context at all was what added to the allure of them as they were coming out. And although this era was pretty short-lived as we were going through it, what came out the other end as a result was amazing. And this is where we get to the current era, which I feel like is the analog horror era. every single era that we've talked about up to this point has led to what we have now, which is this analog horror, like scary internet lore type of environment. I feel like many of those that create these stunning pieces of art were inspired by these other kinds of works, whether it was a music video critiquing the Kotaku lifestyle or a random one-off creepypasta that got them inspired. These people that made these now definitely took some inspiration from back in the day, and this definitely holds some merit, as stuff like Local 58, which is known to be like the grandfather of all analog horrors, was created by the man who essentially kicked off one of the internet's biggest creepypastas, Candle Cove. And since then, we've garnered so much attention to this little corner of the internet, from people creating their own takes on the analog horror genre, to some deciding to take it upon themselves to innovate and level up everyone else as a result, or just resorting back to basics and keeping it light but scary at the same time. And what's so extra cool about the era that we're in is that you all got to see me grow up into this. If you're watching my old Disturbing Media icebergs or the few videos I have analyzing some analog horror pieces, you'll see that I myself am also a bit brand new to all of this. My first analog horror encounter was Local 58 on that first Disturbing Media iceberg, and I didn't really understand it at first. All I remember was being scared to drive back home after a long night out because I was convinced that my GPS now had a mind of its own. And I say all of this to truly say that the current state of these videos that seem to have traumatized us all is a good one. And it's insane to think that some kids are growing up with Local 58, Greylock, or The Backrooms as their first start to this world of horror. They never had to endure the low media literacy of the early 2000s or the obscureness of the early 2010s. They got to skip straight to the good stuff that we are seeing being created what feels like every single day. And personally, I find that pretty amazing, and I wanted to make a video highlighting what I feel like was everyone's journey getting here. And now that we're here, I might just go back and relive some of my favorite gems. Even as I was writing this video, I put on some of those old haunted gaming videos just because I could. And I urge all of you to do the same, or at the very least, leave a story down below on your first experience when it came to your first encounter with the videos that traumatized us all. If you made it here and you made it to the end of today's video, let me know if you guys want me to do more stuff like this. I do have other videos that I would like to do. There was one other video that I'm thinking of doing about scary movie scenes that scared me as a kid and maybe scared you as a kid. So if you have any ideas regarding that, like stuff that I don't know about, comment it. Or you won't even know if I don't know about it, but just comment it. Like you'll find out in the video, I guess, when it comes out. But yeah, that was gonna be in this video too, but this one felt more attuned to internet horror and less like just horror in general, because I think a lot of people that watch my channel watch a lot of horror stuff just in general. I'm a huge fan of anything horror, but I didn't want this to just be, I want this video to be super fixated on a certain niche within this corner of the internet. So I hope I was able to nail that, and I hope all of you watching enjoyed, because this was actually a lot more fun to make than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, with all of that said, that is going to move me on to the Patron Shoutout. We've been getting a lot more Patreon members, which is crazy to me. I feel like all I've been doing is just making more videos like I used to. It's so funny too, because oh my god, dude, it's just to talk heart to heart to everybody. It's so stupid how dumb I was the last year to not just work. I know I had like a lot of personal stuff going on, but I wish it would have worked, man. Like, I'm literally just seeing everything work out. Like, all the numbers are going up, videos are doing better, and my girlfriend just, like, I keep telling my girlfriend, I'm just like, who knew that posting consistently would help? Like, it sounds so dumb, but it's just, it's the truth. And yeah, I just gotta commemorate the consistency of everyone that's on screen right now. A lot of you guys haven't left the Patreon, which is awesome. I can't believe that, like, you're willing to support me through one of the toughest years that I've ever had. Like, it's awesome, and I couldn't ask for a better community, honestly. So thank you guys. You guys are all awesome, and I love you guys. Especially if you've been here since like the early days, like seeing me like get stuff wrong and having to improve my research and whatnot. Like, oh man, what a time. Yeah, I don't really have more to say than that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So with all of that said, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.